Today we're going to see if the old Versapak system still holds up in 2022. The Versapak interchangeable battery system was released in 1993 by Black & Decker, but was also used in the Sears Craftsman brand. Being 29 years old, the Versapak system is quite old, so these use older battery technologies that won't be found in our newer battery-powered tools. The Gold Series battery incorporates newer technologies and perform much better than the original silver Versapak batteries did. Being older technology, these do not charge as fast as the newer lithium-ion batteries do. They take maybe triple the time that a normal newer battery would take to charge. Taking a look at the tools, we have the Black & Decker Wizard rotary tool, and this is one of the tools that were part of their original Versapak line. The Wizard does have a very ergonomic form factor to it. It also has gripping spots on the front of the tool as well. The rotor tool only takes one Versapak battery and has a little orange retention ring that you press to release the battery. There are two speeds on the tool as well, first speed being 13,000 RPMs, second speed being 18,000 RPMs. The chuck lock is located on the front of the tool and it's a black button that you press down, then you can loosen up the chuck and put your attachment in. I happen to have a Sears Craftsman set that comes with a snake light as well as a reciprocating saw and detail sander. The light has a single incandescent bulb and has a bendy tube on which you can move it around, hence the original name Snake Light. The Snake Light takes a single Versapak battery to power it. The detail sander is a bit more power consuming than the flashlight, therefore it takes two Versapak batteries to run this machine. It has two red compression rings that you'll press to release the battery when you're done using it, and has an on and off switch with a rubber cover to prevent dust from getting into it. This tool runs at 5,000 orbits per minute and has replaceable Velcro sandpaper pads. The last tool today is this multi-purpose reciprocating saw. It takes a U-shank jigsaw blade and also requires two Versapak batteries to power it. There is a lock that you must press down before you can actuate the trigger. This tool runs at 2,700 strokes per minute. There is no quick release feature on this saw. You must loosen a screw to replace the blade. Now let's see how these tools perform. Starting with the reciprocating saw, it did surprisingly cut quite well and seemed to have more than enough power for this task. Now we'll be sanding this rough piece of wood with the detail sander. After a minute or two of sanding, it did a very good job of smoothing the surface, especially with the old sandpaper. The tool did seem to have a decent amount of power, but if you pressed too hard, it bogged and stopped. The rotary tool on speed 1 had an okay amount of power, although it did bog down at times when you pressed a little bit too much. It's perfect for if you need a slower rotation and you don't need a high demand of power, but for anything else, I would definitely recommend going in speed 2 just to get the extra power gain. Although this tool only requires one Versapak battery, it did have a fair amount of runtime. This tool has enough power for the average DIYer. I wouldn't say this was a tool for a professional. The power just isn't there. I will say it does get the job done, and I do like the tool. There is enough power for basic jobs like sanding and some lower grade carving. The Black & Decker Wizard rotor tool is definitely better suited for woodworking, as it just doesn't have the power to really get through any tough metal. Lastly, we have the flashlight. It's not very bright, but it does work. I can see how bending it into shape though could be a handy feature. And with all that info and history being laid before us, are these tools still worth it in 2022? Well, I'm here to conclude, no, these tools are not worth getting in 2022. Yes, it's crazy that these 29-year-old tools are still working and they work just fine. I still think it's worth upgrading to a newer system. One of these batteries are 3.6 volts. A new battery nowadays is going to be 18 to 20 volts. You're going to be getting a lot more power and a lot longer runtime with the newer system than you will with a Versapak battery. While I like these tools, and I think it's a cool system because of the history and novelty of having them, I don't think they're worth having in 2022.